See what we got here. Oh, look.
Wow, what a waste of good money.
What are you talking about?
God's in trouble. It's called Revolver Envy.
And if that medicine doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call us today. 614-300-7400. That's 614-300-7400.
Here we go.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is OnTarget, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is OnTarget. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Good afternoon. Welcome to OnTarget. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. That's located at 999 Bethel Road, just west of 315. I'm your host, Eric. Along with my father, Phil, not to be confused with Punxsutawney Phil, because it is Gopher Day. What is it, Gopher Day?
Groundhog
Day.
Actually, I came out of my truck and I saw my shadow. Does that mean anything?
It does. That is.
Okay.
That is. So what does that mean? Does that mean?
I got out of my truck and saw fog.
You know what that means? It's going to be a high of 47 tomorrow.
You don't want to get me started on the weather. You don't want to get me started on the weather, Eric.
Why? Yeah, you.
All right, you got me started.
All right.
Now, yesterday or the day before, I don't know when, we were supposed to get. We were running. When you get your headset, if you got out here early enough, you
I
get out.
was actually
all the bugs.
signaling to Eric.
I know, but you're distracting me. I'm trying to talk.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Okay. No, they forecasted 1 to 2 inches of snow. What did we get? 6 inches. Okay. Did they mention anything about being wrong? No. All right. And then I think it was yesterday. I'm driving home. I hear the forecast. Possible freezing rain. I look at the temperature and it's like 21 degrees. We're not going to get freezing rain at 21 degrees.
Well, and we'll see. Let's see if they're correct too. They're saying that it's going to be in the 40s this afternoon.
Actually, this afternoon. Well, technically, a high of 39 today. 40s tomorrow.
Okay, 39.
We'll see.
There you go. Well, we are the owners of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility and are active law enforcement. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, has always been to bring you the facts about our industry and ultimately help our customers and our listeners with safe, responsible ownership of firearms. Today on the show, we want to continue our discussion that we started last week on items just released at SHOT Show. Kind of a neat time of year. They come out with a lot of new products, and we're going to tell you about some of those. Last week we talked about Mossberg's entry into the concealed handgun market. Talked a little bit about SIG product lines, about Glock, and we're going to talk this week about Versa, H&K, Springfield, Ivor Johnson, and more. And then let you decide whether these are items that you need to go out and run to your store and buy, or if it's one of those that you're just going to let pass. So we'll talk about that at 1:30. Before that, JC was going to have the gun of the week. Unfortunately, he's not here with us today. But since he's not, we're going to take 10 minutes, about 1:20, and drool over a gun of the week that if you're watching on Facebook Live, you already had a sneak peek on. It's a firearm that came in used, I think, last week or the last couple weeks. And it is just gorgeous. It epitomizes what it means to be a firearms owner. And it's sitting right here on our desk.
It's too big for my hand.
Huh? All right.
Too big for my hand.
All right, so Popo's out.
Well, no, I'm not out. I mean, I love the finish.
Right.
You can tell it's an older style because of the shiny blue finish.
That's right.
Shiny.
And that's going to be brought to you by Rampart Hosting and coming up at 1:20. Before that, Ronnie's going to help with some news that's going to be coming up shortly. But we'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of our sponsors who helped make this happen. Rampart Hosting, Toyota West, Jackson Lawn Care and Egress Windows. Have been seeing a lot of them lately out here in the parking lot. The Trigger Group, Blackwing Shooting Center, Rivers Edge Cutlery, CNS Engraving, and LAPD Training Facility, all ones that help make this show what it is each week. Joining me today in the LAPD studio, unfortunately JC is not with us today. He had a death in the family, but he will be back next week. Ronnie from Boom Boom Tactical sits to my right though. Ronnie, did you see, I don't know if you saw this because it came in yesterday late, did you see some of the new Hornady ammo we got in? It is, it's a little bit unique. It's called their, we talked about, a couple weeks ago, some of the most popular ammo that we have here in the store in regards to defense ammo. Hornady Critical Defense is always at the top of the list. This is their handgunner series, I believe. Is that what it says?
American Gunner.
American Gunner series. And it's a little bit unique versus their Critical Defense in that it doesn't have that red plug that you see in the Critical Defense series. This looks more like a traditional hollow point. Still extremely reputable. Comes in at a couple dollars cheaper though than a lot of those out there. So.
Well, it'd be interesting to see. This would be one of those ones that you would want to do a test on because it looks very similar to one of the nodular or who's Corbon rounds.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see if that little hollow cone plugs up with denim and stuff. And
right. It gets a lot of great reviews. And the neat thing is Hornady still does a good job. These are boxes of 25. A lot of times they get you on these small boxes of ammo for concealed or for defensive rounds. They're only boxes of 20, but they're priced like they're boxes of 25. These are still boxes of 25. They're at a real good price too. So if you're in the market for some duty ammo or defensive ammo.
And they have a beautiful, sparkly, foil-looking blue container.
Which
so
always is nice.
That's,
I mean, if you buy your bottle of wine by the pretty label on it, then this might be the one for
your
you.
box of wine, or did you say your bottle?
Bottle of
Oh,
wine.
okay.
Or box of wine.
Could be a box. Yeah, it could be a box.
Sitting to my left is my father and co-owner. Papa did all the snow this week. Bring back those memories of when you were called out every time it snowed.
That has scarred me for life. Working at the airport and being in charge of snow removal, doing snow removal
I didn't know that.
for 30-some years.
Wow.
And, in the early going, I used to drive equipment and snow blowers and everything. And then I got to be in charge of all of it. But you still, you wanted to go in. If your guys were working, you wanted to go in too.
Yeah.
But every time I saw a snowflake, I would get paranoid.
Right.
But I remember in the old days though, I would work, our 24, 36, 48 hours straight, come home and take you kids out on a sled around the block and everything.
Yeah, I remember coming out with you a couple times.
Well, and back then we actually used to get snow, so
Right.
Well, one of the last years that I was in a piece of equipment, we had 1 foot of snow in April.
Gotta like that.
Oh, yeah, the first week in April, but then it melted the next day.
Yeah. Well, if you missed the show, you can always catch the podcast. That's at 610wtvn.com. It's also on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. My favorite place to listen to it. I listen back to it every week at the gym. Facebook Live is where we're at right now. If you go on our Facebook site, LEPD Firearms and Range, you'll see us live. Get a sneak peek at the gun of the week, and you get to see our happy faces during the commercial and so forth. And it's kind of always neat to see some of the behind the scenes of what's going on. That gets uploaded to YouTube every week too. So if you're on our YouTube channel, you can also watch it there as well. And now with the Alexas in the house, the little device there, Papa, where you just say, "Hey Alexa, what color is the sky?" For the millennials.
Who's got one of those?
I don't do that. I say, "Hey Linda, we look outside."
So you have a "Hey Linda," but
Hey,
a lot of people have a "Hey Alexa."
If she's listening,
I'm sure she's listening. Better check my text here.
If you have one of those, you can simply say, "Hey Alexa, listen to 16 WTVN on iHeartRadio," and it goes right to us. Kind of neat. And,
I wonder if you could change their name. Like
I don't
if
know.
you prefer something other than Alexa.
I can say, "Hey Linda, turn on the radio for me, please."
that is another option. Also follow us on Instagram. We're putting a lot of our sales out there now. And actually, speaking of that, Rodney, I know you were kind of rolling your eyes this week. This week we had our Glock 43X hot off the press on our range for rent. We had the front sight melt on it, and so we
Not good.
did what we took a quick picture of that and threw it out there, and the darn thing got a ton of hits on it. Not
Okay.
sure what this scenario was like.
So here's the deal with that, okay? Everybody's saying, "Oh, Glocks are terrible," all this bad Glock stuff. Well, here's what it is. When people come in, they actually shoot that thing. It's not like any of those other guns that have pristine sights that sit in the cabinet
They look nice.
day after day after day and never get fired.
I don't know what.
Are you off your soapbox
I was
now?
just gonna say, can you tell I'm a Glock fan?
Was, was the front sight plastic, Rick?
Yeah, they're plastic.
It is
But
plastic.
they're- I mean, they're known for not being super durable. A lot of people switch them out and stuff. But we were surprised. I don't know. I mean, we went back and looked to see if someone was shooting it for an extended period, but we couldn't find anything. So I don't know.
And you know what? I like the Glocks and stuff, and I was willing to install a brand new sight on the front of that, but was told, no, don't, leave it as it is.
We weren't sure
What's
what it
with
is.
that? Yeah.
The true
No.
colors of Glock.
We will actually. We might even replace it with a Trojan armor. You know, something
What?
like that. Yeah.
What, do you have an old one laying around or something?
I don't know.
I might have them.
I know.
Yeah.
I was going to look in your little tub when you were there. Before we get to the news, several quick bits of announcements here. Last week we talked about our Blade Tech line of holsters. We're really starting to like. They are an enormous amount of quality in them for the price, and we just expanded that line. So if you're in the market for a good concealed carry holster, Blade Tech is definitely one to consider. And their belts are awesome as well. One of the neat things, they have a holster out now that is ambidextrous, so you can set it up for right or left-handed, inside or outside the waistband, all in one holster. So if you have one of these popular firearms and you go between a couple different ways of wearing it, it might be a good one to look at.
Well, you're talking about popular firearms. I've had this certain firearm in 3 different ones last week, a high point. So do we have a Blade Tech holster for a high point?
I'm not sure if that's quite out yet. We also wanted to give a shout out to our friends over at County Sheriff's Office. We participated in the live PD watch party last week. What a blast. It was fun. 1,000 people turned out for it. They're going to have another one in a couple months. Definitely it was something worthwhile going to see. And we mentioned the Glock 43 X's and 48s. They're here for sale. They're also on the range for rent, as well as SIG 365 law enforcement. I think there's a few over there. What else? Oh, coming up in the next couple weeks, we had some listeners this week ask us to give an update on the Shockwave and where that stands in Ohio, as well as the bump stock ban in Columbus and nationwide. So we're going to update that next week when we do the Department of Justice story on how bad guys get their firearms. Almost last thing. Guys, mark your calendars. February 23rd, Saturday. You going to be here, Papa?
Probably.
All right. Smith & Wesson Day at LAPD.
Oh, I'm here.
There is going to be a bunch of firearms to try out. Smith & Wesson rep's going to be here with us. There's going to be Smith & Wesson swag, and we're going to run a sale for that weekend, or at least that day. No sales tax.
Will there be any food?
I'm not sure yet.
That'll get most of our guys
But it's going to
out.
be a tax-free day on there, so look for that. Look for more information for that coming by. Last thing, Columbus Firefighters versus Columbus Police hockey game.
I don't
Coming up.
understand. I don't understand that. I mean, didn't they used to play football?
They do that as well. This is coming up on February 16th at the shop before the OSU Minnesota game. Starts at 2 p.m. They have 5,000 tickets already sold for it.
I hear they have really good fights too.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You know, first of all, I'm jealous that you can still do that sort of thing. I'm sure these guys are younger than I am, but no doubt they get injured, and then all of a sudden now they're off work, and now somebody has to pull a double shift because they have to get out there and play a game.
You used to be into this.
I used to be, but it's like they don't care. I mean, they don't understand the consequences of.
Well, they do. Maybe they're in shape and they're not walking away getting hurt.
I see.
And they raise.
Do you think they're in just as good a shape as the professionals? No.
I tell you, with some of these guys on the hockey,
Yeah, I know,
and stuff.
yeah.
But definitely a worthwhile thing. The money is out going to the
Yeah.
fallen officers and
Yeah,
families.
so that's
it's
always
a
good.
good thing. Ronnie, you got time for a story? You have anything quick there? That,
Well, I've got something quick. South Dakota becomes the latest state to allow concealed handgun carry without a permit. And I think that makes 14 states now.
Is it really? So that's the
Yeah.
constitutional carry, I think they call
Yeah,
it?
where you don't have to take any training or anything, and if you're allowed to own a firearm, you're allowed to carry one.
Right. We've always said, we're about training, but on the surface, you think these states that do it are gonna lead to some, whatever. But they all seem to be doing it, and nothing crazy happens. And
Lead to the Wild West shootout.
right, it doesn't. None of that materializes. So I guess the facts speak for themselves.
Until something
Until they
happens,
do,
and
right.
then they'll
But you know what?
criticize.
We got a lot of smart people around here. We have people that, we actually have people that bring their children in to take our Handgun 101 course, just so they're familiar
Right.
with firearms
Yep.
and stuff. And I think that some other states, I don't know if they're quite like that or not, but.
Yeah.
Well, what was that thing that Baltimore was doing here with their school?
Well, you know what? We're gonna get to that right after this break.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That talk about
pathetic.
not logical. Well, we're on target. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the gun of the week. That is just, if you're on Facebook, you can see it right there. It is beautiful. Also, going to get to the Baltimore School Board story, which is worth hearing. We're on target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break. Is your headset good or not? Or
It's perfect.
Okay.
Now. I don't know what happened, but
they must have hit it or
yeah.
something.
And as far as Maryland, we have the Mothers Against Guns, who are saying that the Maryland laws are not strict enough for firearms, and here they are.
Right.
Here Maryland is wanting to do what they're doing.
Yeah, they voted on it. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's a done deal. So,
Did you hear that there was a big mass machete attack in the BBC?
was there?
Yeah,
People
the
died?
guy, he killed people with a machete. And I'll tell you what, shoot me, man. Don't cut me up with some big
Right.
freaking knife.
Because you have time to think about dying.
Yeah.
Hey, is my dog in there?
Okay, we'll see it.
Over there.
No, he is not.
Yeah,
Jet Boy.
he's back in my shop. He was.
Okay, 28. Okay, before we do the gun of the week, I'm going to do this Baltimore thing real quick.
Okay.
One-on-one service and commitment to helping you find the right knife for your needs is unsurpassed. Stop by and see your.
You find JJ?
Well, he's been sitting back on the carpet in my shop, but he always hangs around. And
He just wants to
I
let
mean,
me.
he's like changing some of his habits. He's not sleeping in his one corner.
Oh,
In his
really?
one corner, he's sleeping on the sofa, but in the place where I sit.
Maybe.
You don't know.
Hey, if someone asked, they can put the ammo next to the gun of the week.
Your music, your stations, your podcasts, always free.
Your ABC 6 first warning weather. For today, cloudy and patchy fog is likely, drying a little bit warmer, high of 39. For tonight, more fog is likely, not as cold though, low of 30. For Sunday, some fog early on, even warmer, high of 47. It's currently 28 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN.
News Radio for Columbus.
That's on the old Lone Ranger, and you don't fool around with Jim. A doop a deep a dap a doop bop bop a dop a doop.
That was pretty good.
Jim Croce.
Jim Croce, otherwise known as JC, who we're playing in his honor today because JC is not with us.
I think old Jim, he went before his time.
Way
It was a
before.
plane crash.
Yeah, I
wasn't
think it was.
Wow.
Jim Croce. Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LAPD studios with Ronnie, who makes up Boom Boom Tactical. My father and co-owner, Phil. John is not with us today. Unfortunately, had a death in the family. That's why we put a little JC in his honor. Going into the break, we talked a little bit about, and guys, I just don't, I try to find the logic sometime in views that I don't necessarily share with someone. And I tell you, it continues, but I just cannot find the logic in some of these things that continue to happen nationwide. We're talking about the Baltimore School Board, who voted this past week, okay, you ready for this, guys? To disarm law enforcement officers in the schools.
Makes a lot of sense.
Disarm them. They're not going to allow them in the schools that they're there to protect with the firearm. They have to keep them in their cars because they don't want to introduce firearms, to kids.
Now,
So what are they going to assign them, a bag of rocks or what?
I wonder if they're going to get the officers now. I mean, would you go into a school
No
without?
way.
No
way.
I don't understand it, but a very similar story is I know one person whose church asked him to do some security for the church, but the church does not allow that, any firearms on the premises. And that person says, hey, look, if I can't protect myself or others, I said, I'm not gonna do your detail. If I was those officers, I would refuse to go into schools.
Absolutely.
I would
Absolutely.
too. I would
Maybe they
too.
should. Maybe they should get a box of teddy bears, and when the shooters are coming in, ask them if why.
You know what? And
It's just incredible.
there's people, there's groups and organizations out there that have that want to kill police officers, and now you've given them a 2-for-1.
Especially
School kids and police
in
officers.
Baltimore, who has struggled with some of this violence. Why on earth would you think that this is a good path to go down? I don't understand.
But I
that.
thought it was passed unanimous.
It was.
Wow.
It was. So maybe the principals can protect the place. Who knows? But it's just craziness. So on a better note, if you're watching Facebook Live, you see the gun of the week, and this is one that came in this week. And just before we talk about it, I'm going to give you guys a little hint. So listen to this and tell me if this lets you know what the gun is.
This is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off. You got to ask yourself one question: do I feel lucky? What do you talk?
Guys, it doesn't. You got to know what that
Such
is.
violent language.
You know what? In today's
just-
environment, you probably couldn't even say that.
I just watched that again for the 9 millionth time last week.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Here's a little bit of trivia about that. When they first cast that role, they had Clint Eastwood carrying a nickel Model 29 in a 4-inch barrel.
Really?
And then, Clint had his own, and he had his own gun, and he persuaded them to, and I think because of the lighting and everything, they decided to go with the blue. But the one that he carried, when he was on duty, was a 6.5-inch barrel blue gun. Now, on the posters and everything, when they advertise the movie,
Right.
they show a longer barrel gun.
Do they really, to make it
Yes.
more dramatic? So if you
Yeah.
haven't clued in now, Smith & Wesson 29-3 is what's sitting here on the counter with us. And what a gorgeous, I tell you what, when you look at it and you see the deep blue, it's nothing like the blue that Smith & Wesson produces today. I don't know what happened with it, but it is just not the same. And it's just a gorgeous, at the time of production, this was the most powerful handgun in the world, and that it made it iconic through the Clint Eastwood movies. Looks like we have a caller on with us. You're on with OnTarget. How are you?
Well, Eric, I am really surprised that you've got that gun out in the open and you're talking about it.
Is that Santa?
Oh, I think that's Big Ed, isn't it?
Well, Big Ed has been eyeing this. I didn't think you'd be listening today, Ed, and I thought maybe I could sneak it by.
Yeah. Big Ed, pull out your wallet, buddy.
You told me that you weren't going to put it out there for the general public until I had my opportunity to come and buy that box.
Well, I'm sorry. It's here. It's not sold. It's not sold. I tell you what, there's not too many people that could rock this, but I think you could rock this, Ed.
Yeah, and we'll even give you a law enforcement discount. Yeah.
It does. I tell you what, you wanna stir it up a little bit? I think you should show up on duty with this.
I
Yeah.
don't think the chief would appreciate it.
Well, hey, wait, the chief's not there, is he?
No, he's back.
He will be by the time I get back in time to pick that up.
Well, hey, good talking to you. Ed. It is still here, Ed. It's for sale still, so don't worry. Don't worry. I'll put it right back in my office when we're done.
All right.
All right, thanks, Ed. Big Ed, he's been eyeing this for like the last 2 weeks and stuff, so I thought I'd sneak it out here. But what a wonderful display of the ingenuity and the craftsmanship from a Smith & Wesson revolver. This is an older one. This is probably from this era.
Well, something that's kind of interesting too is that we're going to talk about a couple of the new Colts that are out that are remakes of the really, really old ones, and that's the one thing that they're missing is, the old ones had bluing and stuff similar to this Smith & Wesson, just a beautiful, dark, shiny bluing, and,
Yeah.
and the new ones are like
It's just not there. It's not the
magic
same.
marker.
It is. It is.
Prior to the Dirty Harry series of movies, the 44 Magnum Smith & Wesson one was not that popular. and then the movies made it popular. And I didn't realize that they came in so many different barrel lengths.
They did.
3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5, 8 and 3/8.
I know.
And later on, 10 and 5/8.
Are you really?
Yeah.
So what do you think? 4-inch or 6-inch would be the perfect balance?
If you're going with this, I think you have to go the 6-inch.
6, yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
John talks about when he, at the time when this movie came out, he was working at a gun store, I think, and he says that the popularity just went through the roof. They had these sitting on their shelves, and all of a sudden you couldn't get one, and the
Right.
prices went up and everything else. So, if you want to come check it out, it is here.
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
It is here, and it is beautiful.
I have one more little trivia story. Filming one of the Clint Eastwood movies, at the end of the day, he was supposed to be, in the movie, he's supposed to throw down his gun on the pavement. I'm not sure what
Right.
scene that was, but they were supposed to substitute a rubber gun,
Really?
when he did that. But he was so tired that everybody forgot. He threw down the real
Really?
one. Got it all boogered up. Had to send it back to Smith and Wesson.
Wow. You know what?
Yeah.
I've seen the real one too. It's one of Smith Wesson Collector Societies. So.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the items that just came out at SHOT Show, some that are pretty neat, and we're going to discuss that, see if there's ones you need to jump in and get before they are gone. We're on Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
Free offer contingent
Oh,
on
you take yourself off.
I know.
Cancel.
Click on it.
Message and data rates may
Ed's funny. Ed, he's,
You know when he called in as Santa was.
well, he's the new Santa going forward now.
Yeah.
Edgington gone. I wouldn't mind. Ed could fill in. I mean, Ed could come here
I think
and
so,
fill
yeah.
in. He said he would do it.
Yeah, but he's on duty, isn't he?
I know. I told him to take the last hour off.
Yeah, take the last hour off. But you have to take off more than the last hour.
Dude, I had, another interesting thing is the deadline just passed for Quebec to register their long guns, and they're estimating 75% of people in that province did not register their firearms.
Even up there, you want to say that real quick when we come back?
Yeah, and what's interesting about it too, Eric, is that they talk about the House of, or what do you call that when you vote, the House of
I'll
whatever,
look for that mic on. Yep.
that where you get your votes, like no matter if you win a state, you get so many.
Oh, the
The electoral?
The electoral college. Well, they don't have that in Canada. So Quebec, with its population, can decide the gun laws for the whole country. So
Wow.
all these other people that disagree with that law are stuck.
Wow.
So thank God we
Wow.
live in the United
Did you
States.
see? We have 25 people watching today.
Probably just because I'm responding to everybody saying,
that's
"Come
good.
on."
That's good.
I'm just kidding, dude.
Okay, so the shooting industry. So we're going to take it from the top, tourists. Now we're kind of. Hopefully we can. I mean, kind of got to go slow here a little bit.
Oh,
because-
dude,
but I know. But
you're
what, if
worried.
you do
We've
that, I
already
know.
done- I mean,
Yep.
we've done fine.
Oh boy, you really come to the table. You sit back there, you're cutting wood, pretending like you're not paying attention, and all of a sudden you come up with good facts like that.
Well,
Yeah.
I always try to link, the guns up to
Yeah.
movies.
But yeah.
So what if it was a Glock? Would you have done that for a Glock?
That would be your, what's that guy, that one guy that killed like 32 people in the movies, the guy, shit, it was just on recently too.
You know what? We should do a show with guns in the movies again. We haven't done that for a couple of years.
And we never really totally touched on it when we did do it.
Right.
I still think we had to do nomenclature.
Yeah.
I love that.
I went to this and I had to put in like a personalization on the Etsy page. It wouldn't let me buy it unless I put it in a personalization.
Really? You can get them here now.
What's up?
They're,
You have them here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
they're
just buy a
hanging up
couple.
right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. They're on the back side of that display case there.
Hey Ron, I'm surprised you didn't really slobber over this revolver.
I like that one.
Okay. Not that it's any different than all the other ones.
Live from LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is OnTarget, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is on target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LEPD studios with my father, co-owner, all-around good guy, Phil. And he saw his shadow today. You saw it? You didn't see it?
I saw mine getting out of the truck.
Is that good or bad?
I think that's good.
That's good?
Or wait a minute, no, that's bad.
That's bad?
That's bad.
All right. So what's that mean?
That means like we're going to have a longer winter, yeah.
Okay. It was supposed to be like 49 tomorrow.
But anyways, I don't think he saw a shadow, so I think that's good.
Yeah. They
Oh,
said it's
you
only-
know what? We're gonna get spring weather now, and then in May we'll get snow.
Well, yeah,
True.
good, yeah.
We'll be picking up Easter
Yeah,
eggs.
it's not gonna be, it's not
Yeah.
gonna, well, hey, there's been times
I know.
I've planted Easter eggs and
I
there's
know.
snow on the ground. Yep.
Ronnie from Boo Boom Tactical sits to my right. JC is not with us today. He'll be back next week. Guys, we started actually, before we get to that, Ronnie, you had one other story that we were talking about off air.
Well, it's kind of related to what we've talked about in the last couple of weeks, but there was a deadline for registering your long guns in Quebec. And the deadline has passed, and they are estimating that 75% of the people in this province, is that what they call it there, a province?
Right, I think so.
Have not registered their firearms.
Really?
Huh.
That's serious.
Yeah. Well, think about it. I guess it's not as big of a deal, but it's like a
So they can-
$5,000 fine.
But they're recognizing as well with that.
Yeah.
means,
Well, and we were just talking during the break about what votes are those?
Electoral college.
The electoral college, and people say, "Oh, we want to get rid of it." Well, this is a classic example. You know, the biggest city in Quebec is loaded with liberals and stuff like that, and the things that they vote for affect the whole area,
province, yeah.
the whole province or whatever. I'm not sure
It's
exactly.
it's true, and we're going to talk next week about the Department of Justice. They put out a study, and we've touched on it the last couple of weeks, but next week we're going to take a deeper dive into it, and it really starts to put numbers to some of the things we've talked about for a long time on how are the bad guys getting their guns, and what can we do to affect the change. And so next week it's an eye-opener. I mean, it's something that we've talked about and we know it to be true, or we thought it to be true, but now with these numbers, it shows you, it highlights how off the mark some of these politicians and people who protest the anti-gun stuff are.
And you know what those protesters don't realize, and they're gonna find out here really soon, is that we have the Supreme Court now. You know what I mean? It leans right. And all of these funky little bills that they're trying to pass where you can only have 5 rounds in your gun, which means several revolvers would be eliminated, unlawful or whatever. Trying to pass all these, they have one case that the Supreme Court just accepted, it's going to open up the floodgates.
It is.
We're
I mean,
gonna have-
in the case, we talked about it last week a little bit, was a case where in New York, I'm paraphrasing, someone who has a permit to own a firearm, the way the law reads, you can't take it out of your house.
Yeah.
You can't transport it to the gun store, you can't do anything, I mean, which is crazy.
And so it's going to the Supreme Court, and then, because the Supreme Court for a long time has been hesitant because
Right.
of the close numbers to take on many of these Second Amendment cases, but now that they have a little more.
They pushed it too. I mean, they pushed it too much. They pushed
Right.
the line too much with some of these things, and now they might get their hands slapped on it. So guys, last couple weeks, SHOT Show was one of the biggest events out in Nevada. It's one where all the manufacturers come and they introduce new products. And last week we talked about some neat ones. I mean, of course, the Glock 43X and Glock 48 were high on that list of ones that were long anticipated. But there were some other things that you kind of scratch your head on a little bit. And today we're going to talk about some of those. So let's start out with one of those. Kind of a neat little gun. Pablo, did you see the Ivor Johnson? Ivor Johnson been around for years and years. They're 4-barrel 22 long rifle pepper box.
Do we have a holster for that?
Surely someone will ask.
I'm sure 3i could muster it up.
I mean, what sort of application do you have for that?
A little nostalgia, a little kind of neat.
A modern day blunderbuss.
It's kind of neat, but it nonetheless was something that they announced last week, or actually 2 weeks ago. Now, here's one though, guys. that has some merit, and I guess for those who've always wanted one, it's an opportunity to grab one. Colt has reintroduced, they've come back out the last couple of years with revolvers that hadn't been around for a while. They reintroduced the King Cobra.
I'm not thrilled about that. It just seems like that they've lost some quality.
Wow, and we kind of said that in the snub noses that have come out the last couple of years. It looks decent.
I was just gonna say, I was poo-pooing them earlier too, but I'm looking at one of them online, and it looks pretty
Maybe
nice.
we need to get one in.
Maybe we need to get
one
agree.
in. Some of the other ones that they came out with, the Detective Special, I think, the ones that came out the last couple of years, it just didn't feel like the quality was there.
Yeah, they
just
had that kind of rough matte finish to
Well,
them and stuff,
and the
which I
thing
thought.
was they weren't inexpensive, and they were definitely at the top end of what you would pay for a revolver. So I guess we'll hold our judgment until we hold one of these. But the Colt King Cobra coming to your stores soon is one out there. Now, guys, this one. Now, Ronnie, I know you're gonna poo-poo this one, but it looks really neat. Pawpaw, did you take a look at the H&K made by Umarex with a little partnership there? Their H&K 416 22 long rifle. It looks sharp. It looks like it has some weight to it, and it's metal.
It looks sweet, but why not 22 Magnum in that thing? How
Now,
sweet would that be?
That would be kind of neat.
Hey, I like it. I mean, it's way better than the Smith & Wesson 22 that they have,
Yeah.
which is a great gun, don't get
Great
me
gun.
wrong. But I mean,
Doesn't that look like the real deal?
yeah, that looks like a weapon of war.
It does. That's H&K 416. I tell you, one of my all-time favorite 22s in recent time. The AR platforms come out with Smith & Wesson, and of course Mossberg had one. But Ruger's, I forget the name of of it, but they came out with kind of an AR platform 22 that takes a 10-22 mag, and it was metal. And it's always been one of my favorite. It hasn't gotten a whole lot of attention, but this H&K looks like it might be along that same lines. What do you think of it, Popo?
Well, getting it up right now. And yeah, I mean, looks like an assault weapon.
It is
A weapon of
now.
war.
One of our watchers on Facebook says he has one of those H&K 416 pistols. So it'd be interesting to see what his thoughts are about it. I think David.
Well, we're jealous, David.
I know. So, okay, Papa, you ready for this? Also announced.
Yeah.
Also announced. New from Versa.
Mm-hmm.
Versa's coming out with a Thunder 22 and 380 with a threaded barrel.
I couldn't figure out what the TB meant. Okay, all right. Hey, I'm a fan of Versas. I tell you, I never used to be, but ever since we've opened up this store and I take them out of the display case, I look at them, and then what happens? I buy 3 of them.
Right.
What the heck?
And you carry one oftentimes.
Yeah, 16 rounds, double stack.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in, we're talking about SHOT Show and some of the new items that were recently released or announced to be released here soon. If you want to jump in on the conversation, 614-821-WTVN is the number. We'd love to hear if you've run across something that you think is going to be a neat item. We certainly love to hear it because we certainly don't have all listed here.
And online they have a picture of that Versa with a can on it.
Really?
I must admit, not being a huge Versa fan, it looks pretty cool.
It's kind of like
Hey,
Walker
yeah.
PBKS.
Part of gun ownership is the looks.
Oh yeah.
That's about 50% of it. Now it has to function good, but the
And
looks.
if you're a true gun owner, that is the case. Now, we have a lot of people that come in with, high points and
Yeah, as long as it, sends bullets downrange.
Right,
It
right.
looks like.
Versa also came out with their BP Concealed Carry Series 9 with the threaded barrel. To tell you the truth, guys, I thought that gun was long gone. It was a nice gun. It's about the size, probably a little bigger than the Smith & Wesson Shield. It got good reviews. It felt good in your hand.
It never seemed to take off, did
never
it?
took off.
Yeah.
We had to.
I don't know. It
Always
wasn't bad.
look kind of chintzy to me.
Yeah, it was a striker fired. We ended up selling ours below cost. Just,
If you're gonna look like a Glock, you better be.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. That is a good point. So watch for those coming to your store soon. Springfield, who hit the ground last year with the 911 and the 380. It's very kind of a single action, very small, pretty well made.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, you
yeah.
think so? They've now come out with that in a 9mm, so it's going to compete with the SIG 938.
Oh, and the Kimber.
And
That's
the
why
Kimber,
that's why I'm
right.
sitting here smiling, is because it seems like their SIG is like, or Springfield is about a year behind Kimber.
Right.
Because if you know, last year Kimber came out with the Micro 9,
Right.
and before that they came out with what was the other 9 that's just like the cold,
Yeah.
whatever it was. But then Springfield came out with the 911. But you know what? I mean,
It's a nice little
it's
gun.
a nice little gun.
No,
So
I
it might be.
still, I mean, I still have an issue with the a small single action pocket gun for a concealed carry, but that's just me. So a handful of them. I mean, this certainly doesn't fly off the shelves like the Glock 43 and the Shields and so forth.
And a
but
lot of the guys that have them seem to truly like them.
they do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
so-
say it's a good firearm for a first owner of a firearm.
No.
But for someone who has experience and who has
Or if you
concealed carry.
catch on quick and pay attention to direction, you can start out with one.
Yep, there you go. So guys, up next, before we go into break, and Ronnie, we were laughing about this during the last break, Armcorps or Rock Island, they had a shotgun, a semi-auto shotgun, 12 gauge, that was polymer. A lot of it was polymer. I don't know, I forget
I think it was the
VR.
VR60.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was solid. We never had any issues with it. It just didn't feel it. I mean, not nearly the quality of a Vepr. Well, now they've come out with the VR80, and it is a 12 gauge semi-auto, all aluminum. It looks like the real deal.
Now, it looks like the real deal. It looks really sweet. It's got kind of a funky stock on it, but I think you can, there will be aftermarket stuff for that since it's similar to an AR style gun. But the one thing I noticed is I was looking at stuff online before the show, and there's a guy that was shooting it, and he shot, several rounds through it, and he pulled his shirt aside, and you could see the imprint of
Really?
the stock, the butt of the stock on his shoulder. So
Wow.
it's supposed to have fairly reasonable recoil because of the new buffer system that it has come out with for this gun specifically.
Wow.
So-
My Vepr has a great recoil. I mean, it doesn't, you don't feel it.
The
nearly as
Veprs
much.
are cool.
Yeah, actually, we might have a used Vepr here shortly. So if you're in the
Ah.
market for a Vepr,
There you go.
there might be one I think I saw come in earlier today pop up. Well, guys, let's jump to break. When we come on the other side of the break, we're going to talk about some new accessories from Magpul, a couple new Kimbers, and Crimson Trace. That's all up after the break. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
What's a big guy?
Bubble, you make sure you come back for the song.
Okay, Google.
That means it's probably a good song, though.
News Radio 610.
Where you going? Looking for your dog. I know.
His son, his new son.
Gave him a burrito and a half today. The guy probably got a little bit of an upset stomach.
Poor baby. I give Aldo stuff. I don't give him that much stuff, but he gets to taste whatever I'm eating.
Does he really?
Yeah. Unless it's bad for dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain things.
I did. We haven't. I mean, Bo gets a few things, but I just didn't want.
Dude, this morning, he went out in the backyard and just started running around in circles, rolled,
Yeah,
and
they
then
love
ran
that.
around in circles. It must have been the perfect snow weather or something.
What's the temp there, Scotty? All right. All righty. Your ABC 6 first warning weather for today: cloudy and patchy fog, dry and a little bit warmer, high of 39. Tonight, more fog is likely. Not as cold though, low of 30. For Sunday, some fog early on, even warmer, high of 47 for the Super Bowl. It's currently 28 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN.
Breaking news.
Okay, dude.
Every 10 minutes. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Come back over here. Come on camera. Welcome back to On Target. You know, guys, I thought for a second to just let it run. Let it run out the show with Jim Croce.
Well,
Yep.
back in my heydays, I could really cut the rug,
Well, you were just cutting the rug right there.
No, I know, I could really cut the rug.
I tell you what, you still can do it.
No, I can't. I don't
saw-
think so.
I saw him at the picnic
I know.
At what picnic?
At my house.
at his house.
Oh, yeah, but I was younger then.
2 years.
Just 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot happens in 2 years, Eric, I don't know.
Again, Jim Croce over the airways there for JC, who's not here with us today. Unfortunately, out with the death in the family. I'm Eric, host of On Target. We're here live at LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. A good crowd out here today. Sitting with my good friend Ronnie, who makes up Boom Boom Tactical.
Oh, I have a friend.
Yes. My father, co-owner, dancer.
You have one friend, Ronnie. You have one friend.
Bummer.
And we're talking about SHOT Show. Some of the items that just came out is ones that some may not be able to live without. Some not so much, but we're getting to some accessories, and by no means is this an exhaustive list. So if you have something we missed out there, give us a call.
Yeah.
614-821-9886 is the number. So Magpul, always cutting edge, always quality. You can't go wrong. They came out with a 60-round drum a few years ago for the AR.
Yeah.
Very compact. Good to have one in your repertoire of magazines. They just came out. I don't know if you saw this, right? They came out with a 50-round 308 drum.
Okay, what's the application for that, Eric?
To spew several bullets within a short period of time.
I tell you what, though, I'm going to get one of those to put in my Kel-Tec RFB.
Well, here's the thing that I'm thinking about on it. That I'm wondering is that how anybody who's built a 308 knows that they're not mil spec. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm just wondering, it is Magpul, so they probably will work well in many different.
And then unfortunately, my Kel-Tec I think is FAL mag.
Yeah, it's an FAL
So even
mag.
though I don't think I have an application for this.
There you go. Well, you're going to have to get one, Eric. You're
There
going to have
you
to get an
go.
application.
Maybe I need to buy the firearm.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's right.
Okay.
We've done that before.
Oh, yeah.
So watch those to come. It looks like it definitely anything if you have an AR platform in 308. Kimber. Kimber, actually, there's two things that they were touting at the SHOT Show. One, a couple years ago, they came out with a new 357 as their first entry into the revolver world, and it's nice. I mean, it is. Don't get me wrong, it is a nice looking revolver. It's on the top end of revolvers. I think it's a 6-shot 357. This year, they came out with a 3-inch barrel in that same firearm, which actually I think it looks even a little bit nicer than a snub nose. I'd probably consider that before the
I
summer.
think Phil needs a Kimber to fill out your revolver. Have you seen these, Phil?
Kimber has never, ever turned me on.
Yeah.
But have you shot one of their revolvers?
No, I have not.
You need to shoot one of their revolvers.
This
I think you'll like it. Phil,
Right.
I mean, look at the new ones.
Okay,
They look sharp.
They look very nice.
I understand, but see, I'm the type of guy, and Ronnie, you know this, is that, you give me a gun, I'll shoot it. It doesn't have to feel comfortable. Give me a gun, right out of the box. I don't care about the trigger pull like
Right.
you do. Yeah, just
So
give me a gun.
here's something else they came out with. This might have some merit. A couple years ago, they came out with the Solo, which really it had mixed reviews. They had some issues initially, and it kind of stayed with it, even though beyond when they got those issues fixed, it's always kind of clouded the Kimber Solo. We have one. My wife has one that she's done well with, and no issues. But it's still kind of people think that there's inherent issues with them. They're coming out with something called the Evo SP. It is a single stack, little 9mm, striker fired, and I tell you, Ronnie, it looks sharp.
It does. I'm looking at it right now.
It is. What do you think of that, Paul? It's a nice looking.
Well, I would have to see it in person.
Right. The only thing is now with SIG, 365 that just holds up to 12 plus 1 rounds. I'm not sure where this fits in, other than if you're not crazy like us and needing, super high cap mags and everything, it might be something that's worth taking a look at. It looks nice though.
and I seem to be wavering on this high cap mag thing. I mean, one half a year I want 21 rounds, and then the next I'm thinking, well, 11 would be okay. And,
Well, and you can go crazy thinking of it, and we talked
I
about
only
that.
need 2 shots, Eric.
That's why they call you a two-shot Phil.
I think so.
that's what they were calling them last week.
Yeah.
It is true. You can get carried away. I mean, shot placement is the most important thing at the end of the day. And and years ago, the 5-shot revolver was you felt perfectly capable with that.
Understand that, but when you look at it in real life,
Right.
you can empty you can empty a 15-round magazine at a 10-foot target under stressful conditions, and you won't hit the target.
It might if you're
Yeah.
not if you're not practicing with
Right.
it. It's definitely a perishable skill.
Did you see somebody on Facebook said that Phil should try out for I Think You Can Dance?
Hey,
Let's squash that right now. He can't.
let's just say, you don't want me hopping up on this table.
And give him a couple shots and he will.
Oh, you give me a couple liquid shots.
Yeah.
Right, that's right. So Kimber, watch for that come in. It looks nice. It looks like something that might be worthwhile taking a look at. Crimson Trace is coming out with they're calling the 1300 battle sight, kind of like a red dot.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's going to be decent from them.
It's kind of big, and it might take. I need to see it on a firearm rather than in a picture because
Right.
it looks a little
It does
bit
look a little-
large.
Right.
But if it's streamlined and fits the rifle, it could be really nice.
Right. They're Browning also coming out with some ammo, and I kind of shook my head at it, but it looks kind of neat. It's only in 38 special right now, and they're calling it the Trail Force ammo. You know the 410 shotgun shells we sell, I think by PDX,
Yeah.
the
Winchester,
PDX,
yeah.
where they have that disc, and then they have a bunch of pellets behind it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
This is 38 special ammo with 2 discs and 9 pellets behind it. So they're billing it as more of like small games.
Right.
Now,
stuff
I
like
wonder
that.
what that does to the rifling. I think it does
That was the
anything.
exact thing that I thought, Phil, or how the rifling affects
Yeah.
the ammo.
And what's the
Yeah.
application? Just
Well,
defensive,
I mean,
guess.
up close quarters,
Yeah, defensive.
small rodents, that type of thing.
If you're not the best shot, you want to at least get something
Well,
on
could
target.
be. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's around the house and stuff,
Which
it might
is
not be
okay.
bad.
Well, that's a good point too, and you probably don't have to worry about penetration and things
Right.
like that.
So it's
yeah.
definitely worth looking at. We'll probably get a couple boxes in to check them out. So, well, that's all I had, guys. Next week, we're going to talk about some stats just released from the Department of Justice that really, it kind of puts the pen to the paper on what we've talked about for a long time. How are the bad guys getting their guns? They interviewed, I think it was 1 million inmates. 300,000 of those specifically had done a crime with a firearm. And they talked about where they got their guns from.
And you know what's interesting is we had to search the internet to find it. I'm surprised something like that wouldn't be
It's not gonna-
out there for everyone.
With that information, it's not gonna do any good.
Right.
I mean, you'll still have the liberals talking whatever
Crazy
they want to
stuff.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're also going to, I hope if we get to it this week, we're going to release our video on high cap mags. We did it a while ago. We just need to put it together where we did a demonstration on high cap mag, what's the time frame on shooting a 20 round mag versus 210. So thanks for spending the last hour with us. We'll be back next week. Thanks for Scott spinning the record on the back, and we wish JC well this week, and we'll see him back Saturday. On Target, stop by and see us, 999 Bethel Road.
I thought that went well.
Me too.
Yeah.
We're getting more and more people watching it. I mean, at one point we had 25 people.
I know.
25 out of 6,000 listeners.
Yeah, but we get a lot of hits on the backside. Look, there's 21 people right now. We get a lot of hits on the backside. Like you'll get 1,000 hits on the backside. Papa, we didn't have any issues with the camera after that firmware update.
We did get one person say that the sound wasn't quite on. That it sound
Was it during a commercial by chance?
no.
Because commercials.
And I was going to tell you to restart it, but I didn't want to get you.
Was it just one person?
Yeah, just one person. Yeah, that's a good point. Usually.
I'm ready for you, Mr. Scott.
Okay, so maybe that's not a thing, but whether it's the polar
I'll give you 1 second.
Yep.
depend on your
I know. Oh, I gotta charge this thing.
Hey, good job on the Croce. Tell me you're not going to be listening to that on the way home tonight.
Plugging my phone in on the way home, to be honest.
I know it, I'm telling you.
I let it play out and kept listening after you guys.
Did you?
Still talking.
I struggle sometimes just letting the whole songs play.
I thought you were gonna let it go. I was like, okay.
I know, and I almost did. I only listened to it like 20 times in the last 2 days, back and forth from the gym and the store.
Yeah, we
But-
should go ahead and do a show. We'll cancel Roger. You and I will do music. I appreciate
We should. We seriously. We could. Hey, have you heard this one? And remember this.
Deep in the vault or something like that.
There you go. You tell Mike. Okay, here we go. This is Eric from OnTarget. This week we take a closer look at a recent DOJ study, and JC has the gun of the week, sponsored by LAPD Training. Tune in Saturday at 1 p.m. or live from LAPD Studios on Bethel Road. This is Eric from OnTarget. This week we take a closer look at a recent DOJ study, and JC has the gun of the week, sponsored by LAPD Training. Tune in tomorrow at 1 p.m. or live from LAPD Studios on Bethel Road. This is Eric from OnTarget. This week we take a closer look at a recent DOJ study, and JC has the gun of the week, sponsored by LAPD Training. Tune in today at 1 p.m. or live from LAPD Studios on Bethel Road. Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Try not to let me heat on Sunday.
There you go. Hey, just give you a heads up. I was also kind of big on Sheryl Crow this week, so it might be Sheryl Crow